Welcome to Booklist. In this channel, I make summaries of popular books around the world from various genres and categories. If you like, please subscribe to this channel and also turn on the notification bell, because there will be more awesome books that you should know. This time, Booklist summarizes a book written by Robert Twigger, entitled Micromastery, Learn Small, Learn Fast, and Find the Hidden Path to Happiness. Micromastery reveals how to train yourself to learn something new. Start with small, simple things that you can do repeatedly and bring you joy. In this book, you will gain insight into the structure that can help you learn micromastery, practice creativity, and utilize your micromastery skills. Before we begin, I want to remind you to watch this video until the end, so that you can get insight from this book summary as a whole. Mastering micromastery is beneficial for a wider range of fields. It is often indoctrinated that one must be passionate about one field, as if 10,000 hours of rigorous self-training is required to achieve mastery. But in fact, most successful people, including Nobel Prize winners, spend their free time learning new skills and activities. Micromastery is a new approach to the challenge of mastering any skill, starting small. By understanding micromastery, you can then practice and grow in mastering a number of skills. You will train yourself as a learner who is not afraid to fail, pour more creativity, and improve your mind and health. So start with simple little things, and you will easily master them. Some of the interesting insights you learn from this book include: what is micromastery? The importance of structure in mastering micromastery. Mastering multiple micromasteries and synergizing them. Knowing dynamic learning and finding your effort hotspots. And why do you need to control bursts of creativity? Master something without taking years to learn it. Life can be so full and overwhelming. When you want to do things, see the world, and try to learn new things, it can all feel like too much. Have you ever felt like you're no longer interested in anything? Because you think that to master something you need years of learning. But the truth is, you have to have the energy to still have the desire to learn new things and make new things. It doesn't have to be something big. Start small. Start humble. For example, you've wanted to learn how to cook for a long time, but kept putting it off. Start with simple dishes like omelets. Making simple things extraordinary is an important exercise in honing your skills. Micromastery is the self-directed mastery of doing something, starting with simple things that connect to bigger fields. You can perfect the small things you learn or move on to bigger ones. And it doesn't always take years to master. Micromastery is iterative, and you can measure success. This can bring you satisfaction and happiness in doing so. It's also the approach we take in childhood, where we don't absorb all the fundamentals right away, but one thing at a time, and then move on to something else. And with micromastery, you can experience small successes as you start working on them. Because if you don't have micro successes along the way, you tend to get discouraged and give up, especially if you're learning on your own. For that, you need micromastery. Structure in mastering micromastery. Understanding structure will help you learn micromastery and help identify other potential micromasteries. Every micromastery in any field has a definite structure. First, the entry trick. This stage is a quick way to get your basic handle on getting started. This stage helps to overcome the obstacles in starting a new thing that you are practicing and learning. This entry trick is like a simple method of holding a brush in painting, or separating the white from the yolk when making an omelet, and various other initial tricks in the skills you are honing. Second, the rub-pat barrier. This is the point where you discover the two skills needed to be able to do it. You start to coordinate them in your mind. For example, The rub-pat, juggling, requires a high rub-pat barrier. You need the ability to catch and throw with your hands at the same time. The trick is to focus on throwing for a moment, then focus on catching. Third, background support. This is the stage where you start to need equipment or tools, as well as time and an open mind in training yourself to master what you are learning. Equipment that encourages you to keep practicing again and again. Not only equipment, but also the atmosphere or environment and people who support you to keep practicing. Fourth, the payoff. This is the stage where you start to master and feel successful, making you want to repeat and practice again. You need to understand that cooking is not micromastery, but making an omelet is micromastery. Driving is not micromastery, but mastering handbrake turns in drifting is micromastery. Fifth, repeatability. At this stage, you are able to repeat the skills you have mastered so that they become fluid. When you practice repeatedly, you will see improvement in mastering the skill. So you get more confident and see yourself as better at doing the skill. Sixth, experimental possibilities. Micromastery is like a miniature lab, where you conduct experiments that will develop your knowledge and abilities. It makes you more proficient in a field. Mastering multiple micromasteries and synergizing them. Having one micromastery is good enough, but people naturally want to have more than one. If your micromastery is in the same area of expertise, then you will be closer to mastering it. Staying focused and on track doesn't mean you can only be interested in one area. Doing the same thing every day would be boring. Therefore, doing the same thing over a period of time with the goal of mastering a skill is an effective learning strategy. You can then switch to mastering another new skill. Stay on track until you master it, then you can switch tracks. Micromastery makes switching tracks easier and more planned. Because in this case, we don't want to be specialists. If you have a child who has a special talent in science and is interested in math and physics, you will most likely try to find them a math tutor, hoping that your child will excel in that field. Walter Alvarez, a doctor, sees it differently. His son, Luis, has a talent for science, but he chose to balance it by sending him to a school for arts and creativity. Rather than speeding him through calculus, Luis learned drawing techniques and creativity, which led him to never stop studying science. In 1968, he won the Nobel Prize in Physics. Art and creativity are natural forms of micromastery because they are self-contained, scalable, repeatable, and defined. Even artists and writers draw inspiration from non-arts backgrounds. Developing fine motor skills is also very important. One example is the success of an American astronaut named Story Musgrove. He grew up on a farm where he learned the skill of tinkering and fixing things, fix anything. These skills were also used on the space station, in line with his educational background in engineering and medicine. The achievements described have something in common. There is a strong synergy of several areas of expertise. By having multiple micromasteries, you can use them for greater impact. Synergy is extra energy that benefits each other. It's like an economy of scale for a system. You can also divide or break down a large activity into multiple micromasteries. Doing dynamic learning and finding effort hotspots. Static learning is about following stages and steps, whereas dynamic learning is about the relationship between the steps and how much emphasis is placed on each part. When you are learning, you are basically listening and watching others. This is how we emphasize and correct each step of the way. In dynamic learning, there are 3 important points, namely confidence, center, and balance. With better balance, your confidence will also improve. When you have confidence, you feel more confident in your center, which is the focus of your skills and awareness. Finding your center when studying Micromastery can give you a confidence boost. Micromastery aims to make your practice easier, because the biggest challenge in learning and practicing is giving up, because of the amount of time it takes. What makes people often fail in mastering a skill is that they don't know their effort hotspots. Identify your effort hotspots in every activity, so that you can recognize and understand at what time you can utilize your energy to the maximum. If you're having trouble learning Micromastery quickly, it could be because you're missing out on an important part of your effort hotspots. Micromastery means learning a skill from a variety of simple things, rather than reaching out to fully excel in one area. Robert Twigger. Controlling the burst of creativity that can come with Micromastery. Once you get into the habit of Micromastery, you'll find that the way you look at things is no longer one-sided. You slowly allow yourself to be interested in many things. You don't have to be so self-limiting, and your interests are no longer shallow. With the ability to Micromastery the things you do, you will have the confidence to be more creative. The great inventors of the past didn't talk about brainstorming or lateral thinking, because they did it naturally. People like Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell didn't learn creative thinking because they already had a wealth of information and skills ready to use. This book provides some Micromastery techniques in a number of activities, such as learning to write dialogue, baking bread, making sushi, planting a bonsai tree, doing a tango walk. It also includes creating beautiful handwriting, mastering bargaining techniques, practicing being a street photographer, designing your own clothes, learning to give a 15-minute presentation on a particular subject, practicing singing, as well as other activities that you can learn and master. Micromastery is about reconnecting the things you need, even the smallest parts. Micromastery skills can break the pessimistic outlook at any time. Robert Twigger. Book conclusion. Through understanding Micromastery, you can then practice and grow in mastering a number of skills. The Micromastery approach can be done by anyone. You can feel the small successes as you start working on them. Micromastery is repetitive, and you can measure its success. Once you get used to Micromastery, you will allow yourself to be interested in many things, and your interests will no longer be superficial. Identify your effort hotspots in every activity.